pay VAT on behalf of customers in Oman. Omani citizen safe in Egypt, says embassy. Oman signs pacts for promotion of local products at Dubai Expo 2020. Those are the headlines for today, and we also have our special segment, Fighting COVID with Antara Bose. Stay tuned for that, but now let's take a look at how the weather be like in our weather update. Before we move on to weather, here is our fact for the day. Yungay, Peru was the site of the deadliest avalanche in recorded history. In 1962, two American scientists predicted the calamity and were forced to flee the government. About 8 years later, the prediction came true and 20,000 people were killed in one day. That is our fact for the day. Now let's take a look at how the weather will be like in the Sultanate. An alert has been issued by Oman Meteorology and Civil Aviation Authorities saying that there will be poor visibility due to fog formation, and there will be mainly clear skies in the Sultanate with chances of high or medium clouds advection, and also possible chances of late night to early morning low-level clouds or fog patches over the parts of Al-Dhufar and Al-Wusta, and also chances of rising dust over the desert and open areas. And now let's take a look at how the weather will be like in all the governorates. Muscat will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 38 to 27 degrees Celsius. Musandam will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 34 to 25 degrees Celsius. North Al-Batana will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 34 to 26 degrees Celsius. South Al-Batana will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 37 to 27 degrees Celsius. Al-Buraymi will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 37 to 25 degrees Celsius. Al-Dhahira will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 38 to 27 degrees Celsius. Al-Dakhiliya will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 38 to 26 degrees Celsius. North Al-Sharqiyya will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 36 to 24 degrees Celsius. South Al-Sharqiyya will be partly cloudy, temperatures between 39 to 26 degrees Celsius. Al-Wusta will be sunny, temperatures between 41 to 25 degrees Celsius. And Dhufar will also be sunny, temperatures between 29 to 19 degrees Celsius. Hello and welcome back to Outline. Here are the local stories for today. Businesses in Oman can fully or partially cover value-added tax. Their customers are required to pay according to an official from the tax authority. Institutions, shops, and merchants have the freedom to choose the bearer of value-added tax, which is determined at 5% for taxable goods, instead of customer bearing this cost, whether it is entire amount or just part of the tax, he said. There are no penalties for institutions, shops, and merchants that choose to bear this tax. The matter of bearing the tax and how much it is to be borne. This is a decision made by the owner of the particular establishment. The tax authority called on people in the country to familiarize themselves with goods and services not to include under the tax, or subject to 0% taxation, so that they are fully aware of how VAT works and their spending power. The official also confirmed that shops are well within their rights to put up lists of items that mention their prices both before and after the tax came into effect. His response came after many on social media called on business owners to put up these for customers to know how much they need to pay. VAT has been in place since Friday, April 16, 2021. Dr. Mohammed Al-Wardi, an economic analyst in the country, called on banks and other financial institutions to bear the costs of VAT for services provided to customers during the challenging times brought about by ongoing economic effects of COVID-19. We hope that the banks and financial service organizations bear the tax their customers have to pay, so that they can gain their loyalty and trust, he said. With the implementation of VAT and the removal of subsidies on electricity and water, inflation is expected to rise. However, there is also a predicted decline in purchasing power owing to the impact of coronavirus. the cancellation of bonuses for the government employees, and compulsory retirement for some of them, this will slightly reduce the rate of increased inflation. Adding to this, Dr. Hashim Majd, the head of the Faculty of Business and Economics at the Modern College of Business and Science, said on the effect of VAT on people's purchasing power, some of them will feel the impact of value-added tax on them. But even then, it is far lower than it in other countries. The Embassy of Oman in Egypt has confirmed the safety of 2 Omani citizens following the accident in Cairo. A statement issued online by Oman news agency said, the Sultanate's embassy to the Arab Republic of Egypt confirmed the safety of 2 Omani citizens in the train accident near the city of Toukh, north of Egyptian capital Cairo. The embassy expressed its sincere condolences and sympathy to the families of the victims and called for a speedy recovery for all the injuries. So far, the accident has resulted in 8 deaths and dozens of wounded, the statement added. The Sultanate's Commission has signed an agreement of 18 public and private establishments for execution of the Luban projects for the promotion of Omani products worldwide, notably through Expo 2020. Muscat Media Group is a media sponsor for Luban project for promotion of Omani products worldwide. The initiative is being undertaken in cooperation with Authority for Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Oman Businesses Platform, Taysir. Taysir works in cooperation with Oman Investment Authority and other government departments concerned to promote the livelihood products of family, artists, rural women, businesses of micro and small and medium enterprises, among other sectors whose products are scheduled to be marketed all at the Dubai Expo 2020. Those are the local stories for today. Now let's go to TTV Studio 2 with Antara Bose for our special segment called Fighting COVID.
Thank you, Maitha, and this is Fighting COVID, where we give you the latest updates on the changing coronavirus situation across the globe. Now, talking about the COVID-19 cases globally, the number of deaths due to COVID-19 has topped 3 million worldwide, according to a tally from Johns Hopkins University. The milestone comes the day after the head of the World Health Organization warned the world was approaching the highest rate of infection so far. Globally, the number of new cases per week has nearly doubled over the past 2 months. More than 566,000 of those deaths have been in the United States, which is now seeing a rise in coronavirus cases despite efforts to get people vaccinated. About 40% of Americans have received at least 1 dose of the COVID vaccine, and nearly a quarter of those are fully vaccinated. The theory is that the new variants of the virus are fueling the latest surge in cases. More deaths have been reported in the United States than in any other country across the world. Globally, the number of deaths since the outbreak began in Wuhan, China, over a year ago is more than the population of Chicago and equivalent to Dallas and Philadelphia combined. It is roughly equal to Kyiv, Ukraine's population, and metropolitan Lisbon. Success in controlling the virus vastly depends on the country, and places like India and Brazil are seeing a worsening crisis. Now, talking about the situation in India and the rising COVID-19 cases over there, as many as 14,95,397 samples were tested in India on April 16, the results of which were obviously made available only the following day on April 17th, and this records the highest number of tests conducted in a single day in the country. This is the second consecutive day the number of tests is crossing the 14 lakh mark. On September 24, 2020, 14,92,409 tests were carried out, which was the highest until the record was broken on April 16th. A total of 26.49 crore samples have been tested in the country since the beginning of the pandemic. India registered 2,60,533 new COVID-19 cases as of 12:22 am Indian Standard Time on April 18th. As many as 1,492 deaths were also recorded on the day. The country has so far reported a total of 14,782,461 cases and 1,077,167 deaths. The figures do not include cases and deaths from the Ladakh region. Maharashtra reported 67,123 infections, accounting for nearly 26% of the new cases on Saturday, followed by Uttar Pradesh with 27,334 new infections and Delhi with 24,375 new cases. Maharashtra also recorded the highest number of casualties on Saturday. This was 419. Delhi followed with 167 new deaths, while Chhattisgarh registered 138 new casualties. About 27.14 lakh COVID-19 vaccination doses were administered in the 24 hours ending at 7 a.m. on Saturday. It is about 16,000 doses less than what was recorded in the previous 24 hours. It is about 8 lakh doses lower than what was recorded the previous Saturday. Now, the question arises, why does the second wave of COVID-19 have a high positivity rate? One of the several remarkable features about the second wave of infections in India has been the very high positivity rate. Out of those who are getting tested, many more people are being found positive now compared to any previous time during the epidemic. In the last 1 week, for example, more than 13.5% tests have resulted in a positive test. The 7-day moving average of positivity rate has never been higher. Positivity rate is a measure of the spread of the disease in the community. A more widespread disease would lead to a higher positivity rate in the tests. The current high positivity rate reinforces the possibility that the virus has spread at a much faster rate during the last couple of months and infected many more people compared to last year. During the first wave, the positivity rate had peaked in the last week of July last year, and it steadily declined after that, even when the positive cases continued to rise in August and September. At that time, the higher number of cases were a direct result of increased tests. Till most of July, India was carrying out less than 5 lakh tests a day. It was only towards the end of the month that testing numbers began to rise rapidly and climbed to more than 10 lakh a day by the third week of August. Right now, India has been detecting almost 2.5 times more cases than it was doing during the September peak. But it is not because of an increase in testing. The testing numbers are roughly at the same level as in September and October last year. But many more people are returning positive. The high positivity rate could be because of increased contact between people or due to the circulation of a faster transmitting variant of the virus. There is evidence that both these things have played a role. A new variant which has emerged locally and was first noticed in the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra has 2 crucial mutations that make it transmit faster and possibly also evade immune response. More than 60% of the virus samples from Maharashtra that were collected for gene sequencing show this double mutant strain. This mutant has most likely spread to other states as well. Now, talking about the vaccines, we've got the Johnson & Johnson or the J&J vaccine, and on Tuesday, federal regulators had recommended a nationwide suspension of all J&J injections following reports of rare but serious blood clots. The cases were extraordinarily rare. We're talking 6 out of nearly 7 million people who had gotten the vaccine suffered blood clots in the brain and low platelets. A person is twice as likely to get hit by lightning than to have such a serious reaction to the J&J vaccine. What's more is that blood clotting can be a serious complication of COVID-19 too, which has already killed more than 566,000 Americans. In fact, the complications were so limited that several governors and health experts heatedly criticized the decision to continue a pause in injections, arguing it could put even more lives at risk due to COVID-19. An estimated 3 million Americans got the J&J vaccine recently. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are urging them to be on the lookout for severe headaches, chest or leg pain, and difficulty breathing. Timing of a person's symptoms matter. Among the 6 cases under investigation, the symptoms emerged 6 to 18 days following the injection. People who got the J&J shot more than 3 weeks ago are not considered at risk, and experts say it's normal to experience mild flu-like symptoms in the 24 to 48 hours following a vaccine. The rare blood clotting has not been associated with the Moderna or the Pfizer vaccines. Now we'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more local COVID-19 news. Now talking about the situation in Oman, the Royal Oman Police continues its efforts to limit the COVID-19 spread in the Dhofar region. Major Tariq bin Awad al-Shanfari of the Public Relations Department of the Royal Oman Police said the following in a statement to Oman News Agency. The police are within the framework of implementing the decisions of the Supreme Committee to deal with COVID-19, which is represented in extending the closure of commercial activities and preventing movement at night in the Dhofar Governorate from 6 p.m. until 5 a.m. Al-Shanfari also added, saying, the Royal Oman Police seeks to create a cooperative environment and solidarity between the various segments of society and its workers in order to limit the spread of the COVID-19 virus according to the plans adopted by the Supreme Committee to deal with COVID-19. Al-Shanfari also explained, saying that in order to ensure that basic services and emergencies are not affected during the period of closure and the prevention of movement of emergency vehicles like electricity, water and communications, cleaning and sanitation vehicles, ambulances and trucks with a load of more than 3 tons of various types are going to be allowed. Al-Shanfari also indicated that movement is permitted for workers at airports and ports, medical personnel vehicles, health workers, arriving and departing travellers with only one companion provided that the travel document is presented, and media professionals whose work requires attending media institutions and relief and shelter sector teams in the governorate, and the muezzins to raise the call for prayer. Al-Shanfari stressed that the Royal Oman Police calls on everyone to take information from its sources, avoid rumours and deal with the closure as a temporary and positive period until the danger stage is over and gradually returns to normal life. Now, Oman's COVID-19 vaccination centres are seeing a steady footfall. 4 vaccination centres that were opened in 4 sites in Muscat Governorate saw steady footfall of people 60 years and above, both residents as well as Omanis, for the COVID-19 shots. The vaccination centres set up were at the Sultan Qaboos Sports Complex in Borsher for those residing in the Seeb and Borsher region, Sabla Matra Centre in Matra High Street for those staying in Matra and Muscat area, Health Complex of Kuriyat for the residents and citizens of Kuriyat, and Saada Wali of Amirat for those living in the Amirat region. The centres that are under the remit of the Ministry of Health continued their vaccination program with the Pfizer-BioNTech as well as the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccines. Those who had come in for their first shot were given Pfizer injections, and second shot takers got their shot depending on the first one. The centres are open for vaccination service during the weekdays from 7:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. Dr. Thamra bin Saeed Al Ghafriya, Acting Director General of Health Services in the Governorate of Muscat, in a statement to Oman News Agency, stressed the importance of having centres that can accommodate a large number of vaccine recipients to ensure a seamless operation. She indicated that the vaccination sites ensure the implementation of precautionary measures, especially in the wake of the increase in number of COVID-19 cases and the high turnout of people for taking the vaccine. Those were all the updates of the changing coronavirus situation across the globe and also in Oman. Now over to Maitha.
Thank you, Antara. That's all we have for you today. Tune in again tomorrow at the same time for more Midday Update.
You've just heard the live feed from the TTV studios on TFM 95.4. Let's talk.